This car sees the autocross track just about every weekend all summer long.
I like this. It's nice.
And the motor mounts are shot, so they're coming out and some new ones are going in.
Toys for life.
Here's how bad the motor mounts are. If I just grab the fuel rail, you can see, I think you can see how much the engine is wobbling. So that's got to change. The new mounts he's going to be using are made by AMT Motorsport. They are made to be abused, unlike the factory AC Delco mounts. Here's what the complete assembly looks like. And essentially what we've got here is a chunk of aluminum sandwiched inside these metal cups that I believe has either polyurethane or rubber for a little bit of dampening, but not a whole lot compared to the stock AC Delco mounts. Underneath the C5, here is where the motor mount bolts through the cradle. There's one more on the passenger side right there. And the problem is it's kind of a tight fit, and those little studs on the motor mounts are kind of long. You can see up here where it's shielded by a little shielding, but it also then goes through that aluminum mount that attaches to the engine block, which we're going to have to remove from the block as well. So we're going to be raising the engine up probably 1 inch to 2 inches. We're also going to be lowering the cradle down because we're going to need to get that aluminum motor mount out with the rubber motor mount, and there's not a ton of room to do it. So the first thing I want to do is disconnect the steering shaft from the steering rack, because when we drop the cradle down, that's going to put a lot of pressure on that, and of course we don't want to damage that. We'll also need to lock the steering wheel so that we don't somehow destroy the steering wheel position sensor by the steering wheel turning with the column disconnected from the rack. Since we dropped the cradle, I did disconnect the steering column by removing the 13mm right down there where the column shaft goes into the steering rack, and pulling it out and setting that aside so that we don't bind and otherwise do any damage breaking the steering column shaft or any damage to the column. Also, anytime you disconnect that shaft, and I've got it off now, but somehow lock your steering wheel in place so it cannot spin. If it spins 180 degrees or more, something of that nature, it's going to break the steering wheel position sensor, and you're going to cry because it's a couple $100 and several hours to put it in. So don't let that happen. So using an adjustable jack, I've got the engine jacked up about 1.5 inches or 2 inches. So the intake manifold is just barely below the cowl, and that gives us a little extra clearance to work with so that we can hopefully get better access to the motor mounts. And you can see there's a little bit more of a gap between the motor mount here where it's lifted up, so we can get at the mounts where they bolt to the engine block. Next, we're going to go ahead and loosen the cradle bolts. All 4 of them, there's 2 on each side, a little bit at a time, not using an impact. It could break the stud loose from inside the chassis. You want to do these by hand. And we're going to lower this cradle down. All right, so we got the lower shocks unbolted from the lower A-arm so that can drop a little bit more. It's still resistant though, probably from the composite leaf spring and binding of the upper A-arm. So I've just pried it down a little bit here in the back, and I've just put this nut in here as a spacer to give me just a little bit more room to work in order to get at the bolts on the motor mount that attaches to the block. And I can see them. You can see them from here. There's 2 of them you can see. 1, 2, and then there's a 3rd one, and we'll get to that one in just a moment. But I'm going to use a long extension from right outside the wheel well area here on the driver's side. One correction, in order to get at that lower nut on the motor mount to the block, I had to go ahead and remove the nut that holds the rubber mount to the motor mount that bolts to the block, if that makes sense. So I can get at that bolt right there. All right, and you can see the extension right here. Just wanted to show you how it actually fits on that lower bolt quite nicely, and it'll do the same to that upper bolt right there. We're still on the driver's side mount. Just want to show you from underneath here, I can easily get a ratchet on this bolt, so that'll be off in a second. Then comes the fun part of fishing the aluminum bracket away from the block in such a way that allows me to remove the rubber motor mount from this vicinity. Okay, I got the aluminum bracket. It's just removed from the block. You can see it right there. And I pushed it forward. So now I can get at the rubber motor mount and try to fish that thing out, and it's going to be tight. Our luck has run out here in between the exhaust manifold and the engine. I've got the motor mount floating around in here, but this is the biggest opening we have, and it's not quite big enough to get the old motor mount out. So we're going to have to drop the mid pipe. That entails removing these 3 bolts here, 3 more on this side, a couple right there, and from there, there's 2 more in the back that we'll have to loosen up, and then we'll just drop the front down. Hopefully, these won't break. All right, I've just got the front of the intermediate pipe dropped, and now, of course, we can get the lovely, totally destroyed motor mount free. Here's the old mount, and it's been shot for a long time, and with autocross, you're on the gas, your engine braking on the gas, engine braking. Definitely kind of getting close to pulling out. Look at that. If that was to pull all the way out of there, that could cause some problems with the engine lifting up, and who knows what would happen. But anyway, worst one I've ever seen. Okay, I've got the mount bolted back to the engine block. You put in the 2 lower bolts and torque them down, but you leave the top one out so you can get that long bolt started. You can see the tip of it right there. You fish it up from the top going down, and I've got the mount in place, and we're going to leave it disconnected down here just for right now because we've got bigger fish to fry on the passenger side, which is going to prove a lot more difficult to get that motor mount out. We're still trying to get the stock mount out on the passenger side. Coming in on the passenger side, you can see I've got the 1 bolt out right there, and there's 2 more. The second one you can get at from right by the exhaust manifold. Where did you go? There it is. It's really hard to see. I can't get it to focus on there, but you can see it. So that's removed. And then we've got 1 more to get at, and that one's actually a fairly straight shot right in the middle there. So for the passenger side, there really is a lot less room to try to get that mount out of there and the bracket that goes to the block. So we're going to take a different approach over here. We're going to remove the upper A-arm bolts. And as long as we keep these shims organized where they go and put them back in the same spot, the alignment will stay the same. And this should allow us to drop the passenger side cradle down, hopefully far enough to be able to fish out the motor mount and the bracket. All right, we've got the upper A-arm unbolted. All of the shims are in order, so they go back exactly the way they came off. Now you can see we've got the cradle dropped quite a bit further. There we go. And we're getting much closer. At least now I can get my chubby little fingers on the motor mount. We just have to drop the cradle further so that we can fish the motor mount out from underneath the AC compressor. This looks like the best area to get it out from because that's definitely a lot smaller. Hard to see on the camera, but trust me. We've jacked the motor up as high as it will go. The intake manifold is just touching the cowl, so that's when we know to stop. And now, with the motor up in the air and the cradle dropped down, we finally have enough room to fish out. It's going to fight a little bit more on this brake line, but trust me, it's coming out right now. It was kind of a pain in the behind to get out. By the way, this one's still pretty much new, so you know, we probably didn't need to replace this, but we're going to anyway. All right, I've got the bracket reattached to the engine on the passenger side with just 2 bolts. You leave that top bolt out for right now, and then we'll set the mount portion in its spot where it gets sandwiched between the subframe and the mount, and then the bolt will drop in from the top and then through the mount assembly and then through the subframe where we'll tighten up the nut right down there. All right, now I've raised the cradle up a fair bit, and I'm going to start dropping the engine down a little bit so that we can actually tighten the bolt that goes through the engine bracket, through the motor mount, and then comes out the bottom. All right, now it's time to retighten the cradle bolts, the cradle nuts rather. And again, there's 4 of them. Do them a little bit at a time till they're snug. And then they're torqued to 81 pound-feet. At least that's what my manual says. Upper A-arm bolts are back in place with all the shims, just like we found them. My manual says 48 pound-feet. Everything is put back together. I'm a little concerned these are going to vibrate a fair amount. Like I mentioned, the owner of this car pretty much uses it exclusively for track use, autocross, and sometimes the big track at Brainerd. Go ahead and fire it up. Let's see what it sounds like. The real test is going to be going for a spin and see how much additional vibration transfers into the chassis. I'm really curious how much extra vibration, because there will be some that gets transferred into the chassis from the engine. There's harmonics, there's vibrations. There's a reason GM made those giant rubber oil-filled motor mounts, and that's to make this thing as smooth as butter so that nobody complains that it's rough and it's noisy to drive. Right there. Yeah. I can feel just a little. Honestly, it's not bad. I could maybe it feels a little rougher around the edges, but it's not bad at all. I'm pleasantly surprised. So here's the bottom line. The car we just completed is used at the racetrack about 95% of the time. And so for that purpose, I absolutely recommend the AMT motor mounts. We also still need to replace that giant rubber rear differential mount, which we will be doing in the near future. The rear mount we will be installing is the unit from HPI, and it's the exact same mount that I installed in my Supercharged C5 several years back, and there's a video for that right up here. Over the past few years, I've found that the HPI polyurethane rear diff mount greatly diminishes the rear drivetrain/wheel hop, while only increasing a little bit of noise and vibration while driving the C5 on the street, which is what I do with my C5 95% of the time. For the front motor mounts in a street-driven C5 or C6, I recently installed a brand new set of AC Delco motor mounts in my Supercharged C6 while I was installing the A&A Supercharger Kit. They're not really intended for high horsepower and high abuse situations, but those same mounts did come in the C6 Z06 with its 505 horsepower, so GM must have had some confidence that they will last a while. I'm hoping to get about 5 years out of them in exchange for a very low vibration street driving experience, because I just want to hear the engine and the supercharger. And I really don't want to feel too many harsh engine vibrations. So together we're going to find out just how well they hold up over the next few years in the C6. So that's it for this one, guys. If you learned anything, please tap that thumbs up below so YouTube knows to share this video. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. And most of all, thanks for watching.